I'm Judy Fenari, and welcome back to the Chronic Rift. Well, you've heard his name mentioned a few times here on the show. Ladies, calm down, it's not Harrison Ford. But he is a writer of many talents, and he's here to talk to us about his works. Yes, I'm talking about none other than Peter David, and he'll be joining us in a few minutes on our round table.
Is Dirty Plot by Julie Doucet. This was originally a sort of fanzine-type thing by Doucet, a Canadian creator, which has now been transformed into an ordinary comic book. Actually, there's nothing ordinary about it at all. The inside looks a lot like that cover that you see on your screen right now. If Village Voice columnist Cynthia Heimel and Hate and Neat Stuff cartoonist Peter Baggy had a child, it might be Doucet. The man himself with us here tonight. He's the one over there in the white shirt. And with Judy and I, to pick on him, is Orenthal Hawkins, who was on the show once before when we talked about TV science fiction shows that flopped, and he's back again tonight.
One of my favorite themes, not as if I came up with it, but one of the themes that I like to examine is to take the normal cliche, take the thing that everyone automatically assumes to be the way things are, and try and invert it or turn it on its ear, or in some way, shape, or form make sure that it's being done in a different manner. With Howling Mad, it was a case of inverting the werewolf legend, and when people read it, they would go, "Oh my God, I never thought of that. You know, what would happen if a wolf is bitten? Would he turn into a man?" I guess the answer is, okay, he does. In that same book, I also try and trash the usual concept of vampires. Instead of having a vampire, I have a vampire character named Duncan. Instead of having him sleeping in a coffin, which I figured, I mean, you know, coffins cost money, you know. And instead of sleeping in a coffin and that kind of thing, Duncan is one of the homeless. That's why he's Duncan the homeless vampire. And he sleeps in a back alley, and he lines his sleeping bag with dirt, and when the sun comes up, he just kind of like zips it around himself. People always come to me and say, like, how did you come up with that Banner's a multiple personality? How did you come up with the Gray Hulk? The Gray Hulk, the idea of turning him back to gray came from Bob Harris and Al Milgrom. So when people say, why did you turn the Hulk gray? I say, I didn't. He was there when I got there. By the same token, the aspects of Bruce Banner being a multiple personality, that was all set up, the groundwork was all laid by Bill Mantlo, and I always want to be very clear about that. Bill broke tremendous ground with an issue in which he showed Bruce Banner's childhood, showed how Banner was abused, showed Banner's abusive father, and he introduced a lot of possibilities there. He then went off in a different direction, which I never understood, because I thought, hey, Bill, this is great. What's going to happen now? Well, we're going to do something completely different.
Send him off into a strange alien dimension.
I was like, okay.
As I said, 2 1/4 Star Trek The Next Generation novels. You were part of the Doomsday World team, and you also had 2 regular books, Star Zone and Rock in a Hard Place. One thing I thought was really interesting was that in both books, you anticipated things that eventually actually happened on the show. Like in Strike Zone, you had Worf having a relationship with a half-human woman, and in the second season, Worf had a half-human Klingon.
Half-human, half-Klingon.
Woman, right. And then that eventually, something similar happened on the show.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah. And then later, in Rock in a Hard Place.
I think maybe they read the book and...
Well, I'm wondering, but also in Rock in a Hard Place.
I'm told that the creative team on Star Trek doesn't read any of the novels, just so that they can't be accused of lifting stuff from the books. I haven't the faintest idea. All I can say is that if an albino dwarf Klingon ambassador shows up, we're going to go, okay, now wait. Yeah. Although, I mean, contractually, if they wanted to take stuff from the books, they can. Yeah, as soon as the books come out, or as soon as the books are written, they are pretty much Paramount property. They could lift it entirely, pretty much without so much as a buy or leave if they so
Everybody
desired.
mentions the Peter David quirky sense of humor. God, how we love that. Boy, isn't that wonderful? But as you mentioned in the introduction to A Rock in a Hard Place, that you were dealing with some really heavy stuff.
Oh yes, what did I say? Such incredibly funny topics as murder, mayhem, racial hatred, that kind of thing.
Fun.
Until next week, when we talk about comic book specialty shops, where's the newsstand?
Lois, will you marry me?
Only if you get rid of the pajamas, Clark.
All right.
Good night.
And may God bless.